Ferrari seems to have found the right path. The Maranello team has promoted the Barcelona floor that was rejected at the Silverstone circuit in the British Grand Prix. The modification to the diffuser and small reinforcements to the kerb in front of the rear wheels have shown their results, although the Hungaroring track, being slow, does not exacerbate bouncing. The crucial point of the track is turn 4, where significant lap time can be gained, and where Charles Leclerc made a serious mistake yesterday by crashing the SF-24 car. The Monegasque driver has been psychologically affected by the incident, but today he must react, relying on a Ferrari that is decidedly better than what has been seen in the last 4 races. The Maranello team needs to dispel some ghosts, and team principal Fred Vasseur has done well to keep the ship steady, insisting on the need to evolve the latest aerodynamic update package. Giorgio Piola's image of the SF-24 on the trolleys allows us to take a look inside the Ferrari diffuser to observe how the keel of the chassis is very linear and clean in design and does not show the recesses that were previously used to generate very complex vortices to manage. Ferrari is aware that it does not have the pace of McLaren, but wants to score important points to defend against the attack from the Woking team for second place in the Constructors' Championship, as the gap has narrowed to just 7 points. To put Charles Leclerc at ease, the Italian side has decided to return to the 2023 brake ducts and calipers. The Monegasque driver has always complained about the lack of confidence in the crucial braking phase, which has always been his strong point, and one of the technical aspects qualifying the Ferrari. The Brembo material is not to blame, as other teams have been able to exploit the innovations. It is a mysterious problem that has affected Charles Leclerc, and Ferrari wants to support its driver so he can regain full motivation. To combat the heat, Ferrari has adopted the SF-24 engine cover with 5 vents to release hot air to avoid reliability issues with the 06612 power unit, but the Ferrari is not one of the most open cars at the Hungaroring. Work was done overnight on the data, and to seek better performance in turn 4, it is possible that the team will slightly increase the car's load to give the drivers more confidence in the crucial point of the track without compromising too much speed at the speed trap to attempt overtakes if there is no chance of aiming for pole position. The Hungarian Grand Prix represents a stage of great interest for the current season. The renewed RB20 has showcased a significant update package on Max Verstappen's car, showing the abandonment of some key features and a return to concepts seen in previous years. It's a sort of about-face that resembles searching for a path in a labyrinth, where when you hit a dead end, you go back to the previous junction and take a different path. This seems to be what's happening to the Milton Keynes team, searching for 2 fundamental aspects with these updates: pure performance, which has recently been eclipsed by McLaren and a resurgent Mercedes, and a more profitable development path for the future, considering that time is starting to run out for defining the chassis concepts of the 2025 car. The track feedback has been decidedly positive, especially regarding the floor, given the excellent performances seen on the track even from Sergio Perez, who only has the new floor from the update package, not the entire upper aerodynamic part of the car. The impression is that the new floor philosophy is ensuring simpler setup and more manageable car behavior, even on curbs and bumps, with evidently greater energy flow in some key passages that ensures better stability of the car's entire aerodynamic system. However, McLaren does not appear particularly less competitive than Red Bull. In fact, Lando Norris registered the best lap time with a significant gap over the competition. The Woking team's car shows typical high downforce responses, indicating that with high temperatures and the extremely twisty track, Norris and his team aim to minimize car sliding and tire overheating. So far, the MCL-38 single-seater has often suffered from high temperatures and the so-called rear overheating, the 2 critical aspects of this Budapest weekend. If Stella's team proves immune to these problems in this race, it will be further confirmation of an incredibly complete car. Otherwise, Verstappen could regain a performance advantage that had disappeared for several Grands Prix. We limit ourselves to talking about Norris and Verstappen, as the impression from the first day's data is that the 4 leading teams are actually divided into 2 groups, with McLaren and Red Bull ahead, and Ferrari and Mercedes fighting to be the third force, slightly behind. If this tendency is already noticeable in the short runs, it is even more evident in the race pace simulation. We see Sergio Perez with the best overall simulation, ahead of Lando Norris and Max Verstappen, while further back are George Russell, Carlos Sainz, Lewis Hamilton, and Oscar Piastri, who always struggles a bit with tire management. For now, therefore, Ferrari and Mercedes do not seem to have the pace of the leaders, but if the W15 has so far suffered from the heat and these conditions, and therefore it is not a big surprise that it is slightly more in difficulty, the SF-24 seems to have a bit more room for improvement, especially in terms of aerodynamic load. From the data, we see that Carlos Sainz's results seem lower in terms of downforce compared to the competition, a slightly different aspect from what was seen in the first practice sessions, and which seems to show an attempt to give a certain priority to qualifying, given the overtaking difficulties on this track, and the fact that the intense heat should completely negate the SF-24's tire heating and warm-up issues. Frederick Vasseur's acknowledgement to Sky on this matter, with the statement that the qualifying pace seems better than the race pace and that the best balance needs to be found, suggests that Ferrari can work to increase the vertical load and shift the car's operating point closer to the competition's race pace, to be able to keep up and perhaps surpass Mercedes during the race. The last two considerations for the Maranello team are that the new modified floor seems a slight step forward, but in the short-run data, Carlos Sainz shows suffering precisely in the two fast points of the track, so the verification of the SF-24's aerodynamic bouncing status will only be possible at Spa. The other point is that Charles Leclerc once again appears to be more in difficulty than his Maranello teammate, both because of the accident and in managing the car, with the number 55 car being decidedly balanced and composed, unlike the number 16, which is more nervous and hyper-reactive, especially at the rear. We therefore wonder if there is a desire to pursue certain types of setups in Charles Leclerc's garage, or if there is also a certain impermeability between the two garages to the passage of useful information, given what we have already seen on the strategy side. We will see what happens in the third practice session and in qualifying, a crucial stage for the entire weekend. Scuderia Ferrari arrived at the Budapest circuit eager for redemption and introduced a new version of the floor for the Hungarian round. We do not know which of the two drivers was using the updated specification, but Charles Leclerc's incident at turn 5 undermined part of the planned work. Upon the car's return to the box, reporters managed to capture the first images of the Ferrari SF-24 floor seen here in Hungary. The prancing horse car had to face 3 difficult Grands Prix between Spain, Austria, and Great Britain. The fast corners that triggered the bouncing reduced the car's performance, with the suspension system unable to handle the additional load. Since the Barcelona round, the SF-24 has suffered from roll, which has prevented the aerodynamic platform from working properly. To address this bouncing issue, Ferrari's technicians sought a quick solution. The first solution, as we reported, was to stiffen the floor, especially in the area of the floor edge wing, the point of greatest flexion. By improving this area, Ferrari aimed to limit the impact of bouncing. However, it is necessary to understand and apply a setup that better optimizes this stiffer floor.